Know when we're live. Okay, we are live.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Judith Yaney, Yeany. I'm Assistant Director of the Office of Transactions and Public Land Administration at the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. And we're here today to talk about a conservation restriction release that has been requested by Atlantic County, affecting a portion of Lake Lenape Park that's designated for tax purposes as Block 587, part of lots 38 and 55 in the township of Hamilton, Atlantic County. I'm going to give a brief description of the request for the partial release. I am joined on this hearing by representatives of the Pinelands Commission and the county who will then offer short statements. In accordance with the New Jersey Conservation Restriction and Historic Preservation Restriction Act, NJSA 13:8B-1 et sec, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection has received a request from Atlantic County to approve the partial release of a 1999 declaration of restrictive covenant to allow the reconfiguration of an existing 120-foot long, 916 square foot L-shaped dock that's presently located on block 587, lots 38 and 55. And as I mentioned, that's within the county's Lake Lenape Park in Hamilton Township, Atlantic County. And the stated purpose of the release is to allow the reconfiguration of the dock for public safety reasons. The county proposes to replace the L-shaped dock with two new floating docks to be located within a 300-foot by 200-foot, 1.39 acre development envelope located on Lake Lenape, proximate to the county's boathouse. As compensation for this change, the county proposes to prohibit development on a different 300-foot by 200-foot portion of Lake Lenape and relinquish its approval to develop a dock in that location. The lifting of the deed restriction from a portion of the property constitutes a release of those restrictions under the Conservation Restriction Act. And under Section 5 of that act, the county and the Pinelands Commission, as parties to the 1999 declaration, are required to conduct a public hearing on the proposed partial release. Under Section 6 of the Conservation Restriction Act, the approval of the Commissioner of Environmental Protection is then required for the proposed partial release to become effective. So a little more background about the property. The property is located within the Pinelands Preservation Area. The 1999 deed restriction prohibits development on Lake Lenape except for specific areas listed in a 1998 Memorandum of Agreement between the county and the Pinelands Commission. Pursuant to the 1998 Memorandum of Agreement, the county was required to place a deed restriction on 1,822 acres of land on and surrounding Lake Lenape. In exchange, the commission agreed to allow certain improvements to specifically defined areas on the western shore of Lake Lenape as set forth in the details of the 1998 Memorandum of Agreement. Among other improvements, two of the improvements authorized by the 1998 Memorandum of Agreement were a 20-foot partially submerged boat ramp and an adjacent 120-foot L-shaped dock, both proximate to a boathouse building. In 2019, representatives from the county and the commission met to address safety issues with the size and location of the L-shaped dock. On June 14th, 2023, the county and the Pinelands Commission executed an amendment to the 1998 Memorandum of Agreement. The 2023 amendment acknowledges that the county intends to amend the 1999 Declaration of Restrictions by removing the existing L-shaped dock and replacing it with the two new floating docks. The new development envelope will be located adjacent to a developed portion of the western shore of Lake Lenape that includes a boathouse, parking lot, and boat ramp. As compensation, the county proposes to amend the 1999 deed restriction to restrict development and preserve an equivalent 300-foot by 200-foot area on a different portion of Lake Lenape and relinquish its approval under the 1998 Memorandum of Agreement to develop a dock there. The new easement area is currently undeveloped and undisturbed area of Lake Lenape Park. That's the background as I understand it, and I think the county would like to supplement my remarks and explain in a little more detail what was going on with the L-shaped dock and why they approached the commission to change the agreement from 1998. So I'll mute myself and the county can jump in.
Thank you, Judith. My name is Shirley Grasso, and I'm outside counsel to Atlantic County Council on this matter. By way of background, as Judith stated, in 1998, the New Jersey Pinelands Commission and the County of Atlantic entered into an agreement in accordance with the then New Jersey administrative regulations, which provided that the commission may enter into an agreement with other local governmental agencies to carry out specified developmental activities that are not fully consistent with the CMP, provided that the commission finds that the variation from the standards of the CMP affords an equivalent level of protection of the Pinelands resources. And in this instance, the agreement did in fact provide for the development of various improvements to the Atlantic County Park at Lake Lenape in Hamilton Township. Among those improvements, the agreement allowed for the construction of the following. First, a 40-foot by 20-foot partially submerged rippled concrete boat ramp and a 120 feet L-shaped dock varying in width from 6 feet to 8 feet adjacent to a proposed boathouse building. Second, a canoe and wood boat piler adjacent to a proposed interpretive center site. And third, a fishing dock, which was also adjacent to the proposed center. Atlantic County in 1998 likewise executed a deed restriction later recorded in favor of the state of New Jersey Pinelands Commission, which the Clerk's Office of County of Atlantic did in fact record that in Deed Book 6602, page 308, which prohibited any development within 300 feet of wetlands, but did in fact permit the dock and piler areas as then described in the agreement between the County of Atlantic and the Pinelands. The deed restriction executed by Atlantic County deed restricted approximately 1,822 acres of Lake Lenape Park as permanently preserved in its natural state. The county is now desirous of amending the 1998 Memorandum of Agreement with the Pinelands. The reason for the amendment is that the existing dock located adjacent to the boathouse for safety reasons is to be replaced by 2 docks better suited to accommodate the needs of the boaters. This is a precautionary measure to increase safety for our boaters, the crew, and eliminate any potential for any damage to the property. The existing dock will be permanently removed and replaced by 2 separate docks. The first proposed dock is 50 feet long by 60 feet wide, and it is adjacent to the existing boat ramp. The second dock is 140 feet long by 13 feet wide, independent of the existing ramp. These 2 new proposed docks will be constructed on a portion of Block 587, lots 38 and 55 in Hamilton Township, hence the need to amend the 1998 agreement. To provide some flexibility in the placement of the new docks in the vicinity of the boathouse, the county is proposing to amend the March 1998 MOA to eliminate the reference to the 120-foot L-shaped dock adjacent to the boathouse building and amending the deed restriction to create a 300 by 200-foot rectangular floating dock general location area which is adjacent to the boathouse. In exchange, the county has agreed to restrict a 300 by 200-foot area where a previously approved floating dock was located along the northern portion of the western shoreline. Any amendment to the 1998 agreement is subject to the review and approval of New Jersey DEP, and thus this hearing is necessary. Although Pinelands has currently reviewed and executed the proposed amendment to the 1998 agreement, it is respectfully submitted that New Jersey DEP will not find it effective until such time as they review and approve of that agreement. Once approved by DEP, it will then be necessary to amend the deed restrictions previously recorded in the clerk's office of Atlantic County to provide for these changes to this site and permit the 2 floating docks. Now, Mrs. Roth, we have here with me this evening some members of the Atlantic County Planning Department, specifically Mr. Eric Hosta. And do you feel it's necessary for Mr. Hosta to place any some of the maps and drawings and proposed amendments to this site by way of a screen share?
Well, let me start because I want to make some clarifications. First of all, the commission has already approved the memorandum of agreement, the amended memorandum of agreement that authorized elimination or removal of the docks from the deed of conservation restriction, the existing L-shaped dock. The issue was that the L-shaped dock was actually fixed in terms of size and position within the prior 1999 memorandum of agreement. So in order to permit construction of new docks, the commission felt it was best to create a development pocket within the existing developed portion of the beach area by the boathouse in on the western shore of Lake Lenape Park, and as an offset, have the county deed restrict a equivalent area adjacent to a different section of western Lake Lenape Park that was still undeveloped, fairly pristine, and for the county to give up its authorization to build a dock there. The new docks will be floating docks, and the amendment to the memorandum of agreement permits the county to place those docks as it needs, as it sees fit, to accommodate the needs of the individuals who utilize the park. So the agreement has been passed. The commission has approved it. However, the commission is not authorized to hold property rights. So the state of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection is the one who actually holds those property rights. And in accordance with the New Jersey Complex, excuse me, nope, wrong law. In accordance with the Conservation Restrictions Act and Historic Preservation Restrictions Act, DEP must authorize the release of that area in order for the existing 1990 deed restriction to be amended. So that's my understanding of the hearing today. Ms. Yeti, I would defer to you. I think it's fairly clear. All of the documents are available on the county's website and have been through the whole notice period. I don't think we need to provide anything else, but I will defer to you.
Thank you. We have not in the past compiled a formal record with exhibits for this type of hearing. You know, we do consider the record to consist of the documents we posted and made available to the public on the website, and we appreciate the county assembling those so that we didn't have to. So as long as they remain on the county's website for the 2 weeks after this hearing that we're allowing for the public to make written public comment, I think that would be sufficient for the purposes of this record, and we'll just maintain a list of what was made available to the public. And thank you, Stacy, for clarifying. I misspoke when I said that the Pinelands Commission held the easement, because even though the declaration of restrictions mentions that it's in favor of the commission has consistently taken the position that it can't actually hold a property right. So DEP's is kind of the shadow partner in this particular set of restrictions, and it is considered to be our restriction that the commissioner both has an oversight role in approving under the Conservation Restriction Act, but we're also a party to it. So, you know, we, at the conclusion of this hearing, if everybody decides to go forward with this requested release, we will be presented with a document that amends the 1999 declaration that we'll sign off on both as a party to and in the commissioner's role, oversight role over easement releases. Stacy, are you able to see if any members of the public have joined us?
Paul, would you please put up the number and see if we have any members of the public who wish to provide testimony tonight?
Yes, I will note that early on there was someone who joined Zoom, not as a caller, but his name is George McDonald. I don't know if that is a caller. We can find out, or if anyone who's a part of this knows that person and was supposed to be in on the meeting. But I'll screen share and we'll go from there.
Okay,
Hi,
sounds good.
George is a county employee
Okay.
and works with Eric Costas. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I will let him in and then I'll get back to the screen share if that's okay. Okay.
Certainly, thank you.
While we're waiting to see if any members of the public wish to comment, I'm wondering if the county could clarify what the safety issues were that were associated with the L-shaped dock. Did it just have to do with the size and proximity to the boat ramp?
Yeah, good evening. I can speak to that if you'd like. We have seen an increase in the use of the facility, both by general public that is boating and kayaking, as well as high school regatta seasons. So we have 3 crew teams that practice on the lake, and they actually host the South Jersey Scholastic Rowing Association hosts a regatta season where we might have 12 to 13 schools at a time using the lake. So even during just the 3 school practices, the congestion had gotten pretty bad, where we were mixing high school students and people trying to get in and out of the lake at the same time during afternoon sessions. In addition to that, the dock was placed into service in 2001, and it's been floating. It's wood and foam and has been floating for 23 years. So it's basically just also arrived at the end of its useful lifespan.
So the main idea was to split the one long dock into 2 long docks just to have more elbow room to operate.
Yeah, that is the general gist of it. So by splitting the 2 docks apart, we're keeping the crew teams actually hold the sculls over their head and then walk down the dock and then place the boat in the water. And each one of those 8-seat sculls are 60 feet long. And they had to make or navigate a 90-degree turn to get out onto the existing dock while boaters were trying to bring their high power and low power boats in and out. So it was just a situation where we thought, why not just take the opportunity to split and make the boat ramp itself usable by high and low power boats and kayakers, and then the long straight dock would allow the schools to walk their sculls out because they walk them. They don't really need vehicular access, so they'll walk right out onto the dock and place the sculls in the water on each side of the 13-foot wide dock.
Mr. Hostet, just to clarify, in addition to taking down the old L-shaped dock, which is essentially directly adjacent to the boat ramp, my understanding was you were also moving the docks further away from the boat ramp in order to make it easier for different user groups so there wasn't such a conflict. Is that correct?
That is correct. So the actual rowing dock that we're going to dedicate to just the crew teams is on the other side of the boathouse, walkable only. So there is no vehicular access. So it should be fairly easy to relegate the crew teams to that dock while allowing the driving public to access the boat ramp proper.
Thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
Paul, do we have any callers who want to present testimony?
There are no callers. And I will note, I was also monitoring the YouTube channel, and there's one person streaming it, and that person is me.
Ms. Yenny, it is now 6:19. Do you want to give it another couple minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always sensitive to whether people get stuck in traffic coming home from work, so we'll give it a couple more minutes.
Mr. Lake, and just to clarify for everyone who's on the call, the commission's YouTube site will be accessible from the commission's website?
Yes, correct. And it's important to note that any public hearing or meetings we have, the video itself is available for viewing immediately. It's immediately archived. So you will see it under the meetings section of our YouTube channel, which is accessible on the homepage under the YouTube icon. So this public hearing is immediately available for viewing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I just wanted everyone to be aware that the hearing would be available. The taping of the hearing would be available through the comment period. So individuals who may not be on this call or may not have an opportunity to call in will have the opportunity to view the hearing and provide written comment during the comment period.
And I will update the notice on our website to include a link to the recording. We didn't do that last time because we didn't allow a post-hearing public comment period, but since we are this time, I'll make that all available in one place.
It should be the same link, but you'll be able to test that. It's the same link as that we're on now. So if you use the same link that you included on the notice, it's the same for the recording.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Maybe I'll just make it clear that the hearing has already happened.
Yes.
You shouldn't expect it to be live if you click on that link. Okay, I'll do that. I'll just make a bit of a closing statement while we wait to see if anyone's going to join us. So I just wanted to state for the record that we are allowing 2 weeks for members of the public to submit public comments on this proposed release. At that point, we will be coordinating with the Pinelands Commission and the county on the substance of the release document. The commissioner does a certificate that would accompany the amended declaration of restriction. So that's something all three parties to this transaction will collaborate on and will eventually be executed by the commissioner if he agrees that this should be approved. I think that's all I have to add at this time. And it is 6:22. I'm comfortable ending this if we're not expecting anybody else.
Paul, I'm assuming nobody's looking to provide testimony?
Correct. No callers.
Okay, well, I appreciate the commission and the county joining me today. And if you're a member of the public who's viewing this at a later date, please feel free to submit written public comment for the next 2 weeks. I forget what the end date is. And we will take that into account before we take final action on this matter. I think we're done.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All right.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.